well. Second. Okay, the Board of Direct Entry Midwifery meeting is convening at 8:08 a.m. on October 22nd, 2020. I will now call roll. Meredith Klein, I'm here. Kelsey Fisher, here. Meredith Mance, here. Lynette Pettibone, here. And that's all we have. Wendy Smith's on her way. And Christine and Beth are not.
Wait,
they're both.
Sorry for the interruption. Who just logged in?
Heather Vogelbaum.
Hi, Heather. So Heather's back. Okay, we just wanted, we're started the meeting. However, Wendy supposedly is calling in soon, is why I was interrupting. So Meredith, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Members, during the course of the meeting, please wait to speak until recognized by the chair. Once you've been recognized, please state your last name. Audience members are asked to sign in on the attendance roster. Public interested parties' feedback may be heard during the public interested parties' feedback period if indicated on the agenda. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. Meeting is called to order. So now we're going on to our agenda.
This is Chelsea, and I move to approve the agenda. This is Meredith, and I second it.
Great. Sounds like everyone's on board. Do we just take a vote?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Kelsey?
Aye.
Meredith Mance?
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone?
Aye.
And Meredith Klein? Aye. So our agenda is approved, and now we're going on to the 2021 meeting date.
Anyone see any conflict that I know of?
I don't usually schedule that far ahead, so I don't really have a
So this is Sylvie.
conflict.
This is Sylvie. On here, Sammy has 9 a.m., which is what you guys used to start at. If you want to switch them all to 8 a.m., that's your guys' choice too. I know you guys have recently, within I would say the last few months, switched to the 8 a.m. because it was more convenient, and we're totally fine with that. So if you want them to start at 9, you need to tell us, or if you want them to start at 8, you need to tell us.
I guess for me it depends, this is Meredith Klein, if we're in person or not. It's quite easy to start at 8 a.m. from my bedroom, but I might prefer 9 o'clock if it was in person. I could go either way. Does anybody have strong feelings about it?
I sort of feel the mirror, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you guys were talking at the same time. Who is that?
Lynette and... This is Meredith Mance. I was just saying I agree.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Meredith agrees and Lynette?
Also agrees.
Also agrees. So shall we put something in as to remote is at 8 and in person is at 9?
So this is...
Is that possible?
Sorry, everybody always wants to talk all at the same time. So this is Sylvie. Far as I know, the governor has shut us down at a minimum until December 31st, which means that we can't do in-person meetings. And then she also has done, well, the Salem-Keizer School District has done till February. So most likely, until we get lifted out of, I don't know, she has all state buildings shut down by appointment only. So I'm assuming that we're going to be going this whole telephonic thing probably at least until next summer. So we can leave them at 8, and then we can change them to 9 a.m. if they ever open us back up to the public.
That's what I was about to chime in with, is that's what seems reasonable, is that we're likely to be remote for the foreseeable future, so let's just go with 8, and then we can change it when it needs to be changed. I think it's too confusing to have it listed as more than one time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this is Kelsey, and I move to approve the proposed meeting date with the amendment that they start at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m.
So this is one, and I have a question. Do we normally, I know that there was a move to try to go back to a quarterly meeting schedule as opposed to a monthly meeting schedule. So do we need to have these special meeting dates just in case we use them? Or is it implying that we are planning to use, more likely to use them?
So this is Sylvie. The intent is that we get them on the books. If we do not need you, so the first 3 meetings, the March, June, and October, those are your quote board meetings where we do all the stuff that we have to do, all the necessary stuff. And then those ones down below, which are the special, are to get them onto the calendar, and we will have you meet if you need to make a decision on a case. Our goal is to get the cases caught up so that you don't have to do those. But in order for us to do the cases and offer the informal settlement and all that stuff, we have to have those dates on the books so that we can work through the complaints.
Okay, great. Thank you for the explanation.
Absolutely.
Or if we open up rulemaking again.
Oh, yes, that too. So Kelsey has made Kelsey has made a motion, so somebody needs to second, unless there's more questions.
This is what I second the motion.
Great. So let's take a vote. Lynette?
Aye.
Kelsey?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Meredith Klein, aye. So, sounds like we're agreeing about the meeting. And then the next thing is the chair position, 2021 chairperson.
I think that Meredith Klein has done a great job, and I nominate her again.
Well, I have to say that it's been pretty, it's been difficult to try to learn this position and be not in person, and not being able to just all of those changes, plus having children at home at the same time, etc. So I'm definitely, and being in nursing school, which is finishing in December, which is amazing. But all that to say, I'm happy to keep at it and keep trying and improving. And if somebody else was super inspired, I'm also happy to have them do it. So do we just need a nomination for another person, or another person, if they're inspired, can self-nominate, or how does that work? I've only been present for a long time this happened.
That is up to you guys. Somebody, you can discuss it. Or, Kelsey, kind of, not officially, because you have to make a motion, it has to be seconded, and then you have to do the roll call and all that stuff. But you're welcome to talk about it, all you want. I think, once you're the chair, I think, typically, you end up staying chair until you're not on the board anymore, because it's, once you've learned it, it's easier just to keep doing it. But that's entirely up to you guys.
Okay, I certainly feel like I'm sort of in the hang of it, but
yeah, does anybody else have any suggestions?
That sounds...
No, it's cricket.
Oh, Wendy, is that you?
Yeah, it is. I'm so sorry. I actually fell back asleep.
It's all okay. So Wendy, we are on the agenda under the vote for chairperson. They're still discussing whether or not to keep Meredith Klein as chair. So that's kind of where they are on the agenda.
Yeah, Wendy, this is Meredith. I was just asking if anyone else had a great inspiration to take it over, and that I was also happy to do it, although it's been like difficult getting the hang of it, remote and during COVID and while in school, but those things hopefully will improve next year. And so far it's been cricket, so I guess.
This is Meredith Vance, and I think it probably makes most sense for Meredith Klein to stay in the position since she's already put the work into figuring it out instead of starting back at square one. Meredith, are you feeling uncomfortable or just...
No, I mean, I'm feeling like at a little bit of a deficit, like trying to learn the ropes while, not being in person, and it just is a little bit awkward, and also challenged with like focus and time with my kids home and stepping out to like help them log on to their school and stuff like that. So, but I'm happy to keep at it. I'm hoping that it gets easier. I just thought if somebody else was fired up and inspired, that I was also happy to not to not do it. My nursing school is done in December, so that'll be a big wait as far as time commitment and attention. It'll be a wait off. So that's just what that's my experience so far. I always just prefer in person, but so it feels like it's been harder for me to get the hang of it. But if nobody's objecting to me continuing, then I'm fine to keep at it. So Kelsey made a motion, and nobody has seconded it, so we can't take a vote, I guess, until that happens. Is that correct?
So this is Sylvia. I don't think Kelsey was, it needs to be more of a motion. She just maybe kind of, nominated you.
I said I nominated you, but I make a motion that we vote for Meredith Klein to be chair for 2021.
I'll second the motion.
Name?
Wendy.
Okay.
Wendy.
Okay, then let's take a vote. Meredith Mann.
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Aye.
Wendy Smith.
Aye.
And Meredith Klein. Aye. So, all right, I'll keep at it. Now we go on to reports.
Okay, so this is Sylvie, director's report. A few little things. The whole state as a whole is on what they call a hiring pause, which means with the state of the economy and to leave positions vacant for as long as possible, to only hire necessary positions to be able to do the minimum work and to deal with COVID-19 issues and also to deal with the fires. So as you know, you are one of 16 boards and programs that we have, and so some of our boards are hugely affected by the COVID-19 So there's a lot of stuff going on in the office, and then most people are working from home. The governor has given us a clear directive for people to work at home if at all possible. However, we're still open to the public due to some of our licensees happen to come in and take exams. They're done by appointment only, so anybody needing to renew or apply for anything needs to do it through the mail unless you're coming in to do it, an exam. And then the other thing is session meaning legislative session, is gearing up and getting ready to start. So it officially starts at the beginning of February. However, right now is where we're working on, they call them LCs, which are legislative concepts. So agencies and, the public, obviously they have to have a legislator willing to do it, but legislators are coming out now with their legislative concepts. So we're reviewing drafts of those. I've had several conversations about more boards and programs coming to us, so we'll see what happens through the legislative session. But that's pretty typical for us. Every 2 years we get something new. So those are pretty much the director's report stuff. Does anybody have any questions? Negative. Okay, let's move along. You guys are going to get done early today. So your licensing and statistics. So there your reports that are in there. So this is part of a normal board meeting. So during a normal board meeting, you'll get all your statistics and stuff. The first slide shows licenses issued. This is broken out by quarter. Our fiscal year is a little bit different than everybody else's. It starts July 1 of every year and ends on June 30th of every year. So this just shows new licenses issued and renewals processed, and then the quarterly average of active licenses. Next slide shows as of October 8th, broken out by your active licenses, broken out by age and gender. You only have females in your licensing group. How unusual. Kidding. But it does show the age range. Next slide just shows the long-term trend, so very stable. Quarter 1 of fiscal year 17, which would be July, August, and September of 2016. The quarterly average was 97. You're currently at a quarterly average of 94, so pretty consistent. The next slide shows your financials, and so it again is broken out by those weird years, but one thing to note, that last fiscal year, which just ended on June 30th of 2020, you actually got in more revenue than you had expenditures for the first time in a really long time. But that's a positive. We've been obviously trying to work really hard on the expenditure piece. And so one of the, obviously we put in the informal settlement conference, trying to finish up these cases, which you'll have several of them to go through today in number 4. And so hopefully we will continue to work on that expenditure stuff. We don't really have a whole lot of control over the revenue since, either you're licensed or you're not. There's not a whole lot of you, so you get average, what do we just...
So is the revenue just licensing fees? That's all where our revenue comes from?
So the revenue will come...
people have to pay.
Correct. So the revenue comes from application fees, licensing fees, and renewal fees, and then any civil penalties. So anything that your licensees would pay, that all goes into a separate fund, and that's what's considered revenue.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any other questions? Okay, moving right along. Policy report. Sammy, do you have anything?
Nothing. Just the November meeting, I'll probably have them vote on cultural competency hours. I don't think they'll have to do much.
Oh, on the language on that rule? Okay. So this is Sylvia again. There was House Bill 2011? 2011, I think it was. Anyways, it mandates that you have cultural competency as part of your continuing education. So we got to get that into rule, so we had to open that rule. So we'll address that in the November meeting. Moving right along, let's go to regulatory report.
Good morning, this is Bob Mothwell for the record. I can tell you that the math on the report is correct, but some of the numbers are off. Not corresponding with the executive session numbers, but they're only off by a couple. So the 15-17 biennium, we've had a total of 81 complaints, and we have 2 remaining open, and that will change later today. And then the 17-19 biennium had a total of 21 complaints, 14 closed, 7 remain open. Did I say 17? Yes, 17-19. Okay, and then the 19 and 21 biennium, we've had a total of what appear to be 9 complaints, 5 remain open and 4 were closed. And of course, it wasn't until I sat down and had a minute to go over it again that I discovered that the numbers were off. So we can send you later on, possibly a new report that reflect correct numbers. Questions?
Okay, this is Sylvie. We'll move right along. So COVID-19, we have so many board meetings I can never remember who I told. So if I'm repeating myself, just let me know and I'll stop talking. But when COVID became a pandemic back in March, we immediately started writing rules to address that. So we wrote some rules for individuals who were active as of the date of the emergency, emergency was declared, which was March 8th. So as long as your license was active as of that date, if you became late during the pandemic, we dropped the late fee down to $1. Also, we wrote rules to allow for CEUs to be done via online, obviously not in person. And that goes for all of our boards because of the whole social distancing and all that stuff, and not being able to attend in-person classroom or seminars and stuff like that. So we allowed for that. And then also part of it was some of our boards, like I said earlier, deal directly with COVID-19. So for instance, we have respiratory therapists as one of our licensing groups, and then also environmental health specialists. And they're working directly with, obviously, COVID-19 stuff. So we allow that work, that COVID-19 work, to also count as continuing education. And then there's also a rule that talks about how you need to abide by the governor's executive orders, and failure to do so is considered unprofessional conduct, and we can cite you. So again, we have 16 boards and programs. Some of our licensees were on shutdown and could not operate until we moved into a certain phase, and even then they had to do certain things. So it gave us a little bit more authority to be able to cite them for not following the governor's orders, and then working with OSHA to make sure that everything's done correctly. So a lot of crazy stuff going on around COVID-19 and really changed the way we do stuff around here. But any questions on any of those? All right, moving right along. So we are on item number 4, which is the public interested parties feedback. And I do believe that nobody is on the other phone, but let me double check real quick. This is Sylvie at the Health Licensing Office. Is there any members of the public on the phone to listen to the Direct Entry Midwifery Board meeting? And if so, your phone's on mute. Okay. Well, there's nobody on the public line. So Meredith Klein, if you would like to read the... Oh, there's no number on the agenda for executive session. Read the executive session script. That would be fabulous.
Okay.
It's on mine.
Let me get to it. Okay. The Board of Direct Entry Midwifery will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F and ORS 676.595 for the purpose of considering information or records that are exempt by law from public disclosure at 8:33 a.m. on October 22nd, 2020. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are required to leave the room. Are there any representatives of the news media in the audience?
No.
Assuming no, so there's no audience. Okay. Recognizing there's no news media in the audience, all other audience members are asked to leave the room. During the executive session, we will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. We are now in executive session.
Oh, well, hold on. April, you ready? Yep. Okay, and you gotta come turn this off. Okay, go. Okay, go ahead, Meredith.
The Board of Direct Entry Midwifery will now exit executive session and reconvene open session at 12:15 p.m. No final decisions were made and no votes were taken in executive session.
So this is Sylvie. I have unmuted the phone. So this is Sylvie with the Health Licensing Office during the Direct Entry Midwifery Board meeting. Is there anybody on the public phone? Okay, hearing nobody, you guys can go on to your items for board action, which is on the agenda.
So that's me, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Fingers crossed. Okay. This is Kelsey Fisher, and I move that in case number 16-8303, that the board impose a civil penalty of $5,000, $4,000 of which will be stayed upon completion of board-approved courses within 1 year of the date of final orders, or which have been previously completed since the date of the birth. The required classes are on charting, risk assessment, including cumulative risks, and fetal assessment, including fetal heart tone assessment. If applying for a license, there will be a requirement to pay the civil penalty, complete the required courses, and be supervised for 5 births according to the board's supervision guidelines with a board-approved supervisor. Submit the names of potential supervisors to the board at time of application, submit all informed consents to the board, submit a charting template for consultations. There is an option for an informal settlement conference. Each violation is considered as separate and independent to impose the penalty. Were this case to go to hearing, we assess the cost of the proceeding up to $5,000.
And the chair authority.
Oh, and that we delegate authority to the chair to approve and sign the final written terms of the notice.
Mouthful.
So are we?
So that was that was the motion.
One.
So that, yes, because they're all different. So that was the motion. Somebody needs to do a second, and then you do a vote, then we go to the next one, because they're all slightly different, or except for the 2.
Okay.
This is Wendy Smith, and I second that motion.
So now we vote.
Okay. So let's vote. Kelsey
Aye.
Fisher. Meredith Mance.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Aye.
Wendy Smith.
Aye.
And Meredith Klein. Aye.
That passed. All right. This is Kelsey Fisher, and I make a motion that in case number 18-8825, that we impose a $5,000 civil penalty, $2,000 of which is stayed if no violations occur within 3 years of final orders, that we require board-approved classes, 3 of them, fetal assessment, including fetal heart tone assessment, risk assessment, and charting, classes to be completed within 1 year of final orders or have been taken since the birth. And those classes have to be approved by the board. That the next 5 primary births are reviewed by a board-approved supervisor using the OMC chart review standards. A list of potential supervisors to be submitted to the board within 6 months of the date of the final orders. Supervisor must be from outside the licensee's practice. There is an option for an informal settlement conference. Each violation is considered as a separate and independent to impose the penalties. Were this case to go to hearing, we assess costs of the proceedings up to $5,000. We move to delegate to me, Kelsey Fisher, the ability to approve and sign the final written terms of this notice. Anyone second?
This is Meredith Mance, and I second the motion.
So Kelsey, should I call roll or should you, since I'm recused for this one?
So this is Sylvie. Meredith, you call roll, but when you say your name, then you say recuse.
Recused. Okay. Okay. So Wendy Smith.
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher.
Aye.
Meredith Mance.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Aye.
And Meredith Klein, recused.
Okay, this is Kelsey Fisher, and I move that in case 19-9110 that we close unsubstantiated.
You can do them together.
Oh, and also that in case 20-9613 that we also close unsubstantiated.
This is Wendy Smith, and I second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Wendy Smith.
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher.
Aye.
Meredith Mance.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Sorry, I guess I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. What were the numbers on those cases again?
It was 19-9110 and 20-9613.
So
But I concur on the 20-9613 with an I and am recused from the 19-9110.
Thank you.
And Meredith Klein. Aye.
good job, you guys. I guess we should have done them separately. I totally forgot about Lynette part. Sorry, you guys. All right, so this is Sylvie again. We are on item.
Wait, we have one more. We have one more.
Do we have another one?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is Kelsey Fisher, and I move that in case 20-9919 that we open an investigation.
This is Wendy Smith, and I second.
Okay, let's vote. Wendy Smith.
Aye.
Kelsey Fisher.
Aye.
Meredith Mance.
Aye.
Lynette Pettibone.
Aye.
Meredith Klein. Aye.
Okay, now this is Sylvie. Sorry to keep interrupting. We are on other board business. Is there anything that you guys would like to talk about?
This is Lynette, and
Go ahead, Lynette, sorry.
that's okay. I was just going to put the student stuff kind of on the conversation. So preceptor training, students being supervised in terms of charting and other conversations, and professionalism of students.
Yeah, similarly, I was just going to put out there that we put in some kind of note to have potentially something in our rules related to professionalism.
So this is Sylvia, are you wanting to put something in rule? Because obviously that requires rules to be open. However, Sammy is working on rules because you have to have your cultural competency stuff put in rules. So is that something that you would like her to, what do we call it, bookmark, whatever, and have her start working on?
I don't know if we're ready to like open the rules again to work on this. I wanted at least it to be like a note that the next time we open the rules to include something on this topic. But Lynette might have different feelings about what she's talking about.
So this is Sylvia, we call that a parking lot. So on the parking lot, which means here's ideas and concepts that they want to address at the next time, doesn't mean we're opening it now. So we can put it on the parking lot list, and if anybody has, I would assume maybe Wendy's hospital would have something on how to treat each other with respect, but if you have any information that you want Sammy to review, just email it to her, she can add it to, and then you guys can all review it together.
Wait, can you just say what you mean again by the hospital? I mean...
I think
that, yeah.
Well, we don't have any rule that talks about, who's in charge of what, per se, and, if you just had, and you may not have it, I was just suggesting some sort of draft language if you had something about treating people with courtesy and respect when you take a patient from, say, one wing to a different wing for something, because if you, are going, I'm just saying for instance.
I'm only laughing, I'm only laughing because I'm sure we do, and yet I'm sure it's not in place. But I will ask our medical staff office to send me what they have regarding professionalism within the hospital.
Well, and it was more of a thought of, if you're a nurse is taking somebody over to a different unit for something totally different, how do you, I don't know, I'm just suggesting.
I'm laughing with you, not at you, don't worry about it. I'm laughing at the absurdity of our, lack of respect for everybody.
Okay, so I got that. What was the other one you were going to say, Kelsey?
Well, I was just adding some kind of professionalism, something about that in general to our rules.
Okay, Sammy's taking notes, so keep talking. So we've got the professionalism.
But Lynette had some other things.
Okay.
Potentially about preceptor training or student-preceptor relationship.
Got that.
This is Lynette again, and my question is, I thought we had something in the parking lot already about VBACs, and we were trying to get some information from Vital Records.
I'm going to need somebody to explain to me what they want from Vital Records, because they have tons of information out there, but I've been told that it's not the right information. So I need to know specifically what information they're looking for. Does that make sense? So I need a person.
Yeah. I think Wendy could probably do that, or I could potentially help with that.
I'm happy to help too. So I think I would just need to look over our last meeting notes or recording and listen to exactly what, because unfortunately I didn't take notes on that.
It was unclear what they wanted.
Yeah, so, and that's where Sammy's saying it's unclear too. So was it the last board meeting or the one before?
The last one.
I think it was the last one, yeah.
Is the last board meeting posted out on the website yet?
I believe it is.
We're looking real quick because
no, maybe not.
Sometimes it takes a while to get them uploaded onto the website so that you could listen to it, Wendy. And then I'll have Sammy reach out to you directly, or you reach out to her.
Yeah.
I'll send her a reminder.
Sammy, when it's posted, will you let me know?
Yeah.
Because I think that will trigger me to go in and listen to it, and then I will write down what I think we had wanted. I can certainly send it out to you. You send out to anybody else for other comments, but sure, I'm happy.
Yeah, and my recollection of it was that we were trying to look at outcomes based on risk factors with planned home birth.
And
with
it's
licensed
there, but
midwives.
it's in different.
So do we have
You have to extrapolate.
any increased risk factors, like for VBACs? Do VBACs that we're doing have worse outcomes?
Because I think that was it. I mean, we're not going back and looking at twins, right? We're not going back and looking at breech. So I think we were only at the VBAC question. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Guys?
Yeah, and it was related with, is consulting going to make it safer? And part of that was, do we even have an issue with safety with VBACs in particular?
Okay, then that alone may make me be able to request the demographic and characteristics.
And it was really, I know that there was a comment from OMC that it's really essential that we get that based on planned birth with a trained birth attendant, so with licensed midwives, because the unassisted birth has really different statistics
right.
than planned home birth with an attendant. So we don't just want by place of birth and risk factor, it needs to be planned attendant. The birth and risk factor.
I know what you're saying. And Sammy, do you know that when you make these requests, do they just pull the actual record, or do they do the analysis?
You mean like in individual birth certificates?
Right.
They're not going to do that.
What are they going to do? So if you say, I'm interested in the outcomes associated with birth records that have these following characteristics or demographics associated with them.
Yeah, so they're going to either extrapolate it from data they already have, or like back in 2012 when they did the big review at OHSU, they had an intern look. They're not going to do that again unless they had money to do that.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're looking for, that's not going to be there. But if they have the information, I think they have it in the reports. I think we're going to have to extrapolate it from different ones.
It's the information that we are looking for is not available in the publicly available reports.
Right,
information that might be easy for them to give us.
Possibly.
I think basically we need someone who's familiar with filling out the birth certificate to say we want to know what happens when these boxes on the birth certificate are checked. So we want to have the planned home birth box checked, we want to have the VBAC box checked, and we want to have the certifying attendant be a licensed midwife. And then we want to know if there's any outcome boxes checked.
Right. I think that's the thing. I think what we want to know from them are the outcomes that are associated with having those boxes checked. And I'm not sure that are they willing to give us that. I guess that's the question. We'll find out.
I don't know.
They'll only know the answers, the questions that are asked on the birth certificate form. So there is a small list of outcomes that are asked about, and those would be the only outcomes they would know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
one of those is going to be NICU admission, right? I mean, and death.
Yes. And there's a section on the birth certificate for like major maternal,
morbidity,
right?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it asks about transfer and it asks about admissions for both mom and baby. I think it even asks about like PPV, things like that. Gosh, I hope we're able to get it. Would that be so great to be able to see what our actual data is in this state?
Okay, I will. what, I can even just look at the birth certificate and tell you, and send you the characteristics and the outcomes of interest. And then you can send it around to the board and have any other comments on it. And then then I'm going to request that you send it in to the vital statistics people.
This is Sylvie, perfect. Sammy's nodding her head, taking notes, and then she already has contacts over there, so she'll be able to reach out to them directly. And hopefully, since we're all part of the same agency, officially, hopefully this will work, but that doesn't mean it's going to.
Right.
Okay, what else? Is there any other discussion on parking lot issues? Anything, any discussion on anything? Everybody's quiet. If you
We're ready.
I know. The Meredith line, you have a one-liner to close it out.
Let's do it. The Board of Directors of Midwestern meeting is adjourned at 12:35 p.m.